Curse. It is a word that belongs in fairy tales, a word used by superstitious minds to explain bad luck. Science tells us that objects are lifeless, that a stone, a piece of metal, or a frozen corpse cannot hurt you. They cannot wish you harm. But what if science is looking at the wrong mechanism? What if a curse is not magic, but a warning label? A warning about radiation, about bacteria, or about a form of energy we have not yet learned to measure. Throughout history, there have been artifacts that seem to punish anyone who touches them, not with bad luck, but with death. These are not stories from a campfire. These are cold, hard, historical case files. Today on 0 Point Lore, we are breaking the seal. We are investigating 5 archaeological discoveries that should have been left in the dark. 5 objects that prove some doors are locked for a reason. Our first file takes us to Samarkand, Uzbekistan. The year is 1941. Joseph Stalin, the Soviet dictator, has ordered an expedition. He wants the face of the legendary conqueror, Tamerlane, also known as Timur. The locals were terrified. They warned the Soviet team of a legend. Whoever opens the tomb of Timur will unleash an invader more terrible than he was. The lead anthropologist, Mikhail Gerasimov, laughed. He was a man of science. He did not believe in ghosts. On June 20th, 1941, he pried the lid off the sarcophagus. Inside, he found the body of the conqueror. And carved inside the tomb was a second inscription. "When I rise from the dead, the world shall tremble." Gerasimov celebrated his discovery, but the celebration lasted exactly 2 days. On June 22nd, 1941, less than 48 hours after the seal was broken, Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union, the largest, bloodiest military invasion in human history. Millions died. The Soviet Union was almost destroyed. Was it a coincidence? Perhaps. But here is the 0 Point detail. Stalin, a man not known for superstition, reportedly panicked. In 1942, he ordered Tamerlane's remains to be reburied with full Islamic rites. Days after the reburial, the Soviets won the Battle of Stalingrad. The tide of the war turned. The curse was lifted. From a curse of war to a curse of chemistry. In 1974, farmers in China dug a well and found the clay face of a soldier. They had discovered the tomb of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. 8,000 soldiers, but the emperor himself remains buried. His central tomb has never been opened, not because we cannot, but because we are afraid. The ancient historian Sima Qian wrote that the tomb was filled with rivers of mercury, flowing mechanically to simulate the ocean. For centuries, archaeologists thought this was a myth, an exaggeration, until they tested the soil. Probes inserted into the burial mound revealed levels of mercury that were 100 times higher than normal. The river is real, and mercury is a volatile, deadly neurotoxin. If we open that tomb today without advanced hazmat technology, the invisible vapor alone could kill the entire excavation team. This is not a curse of spirits. It is a curse of chemistry. A trap set 2,000 years ago that is still armed and waiting. But what if the trap is not chemical? What if it is energetic? This is the Hope Diamond, the most famous cursed object on Earth. Legend says it was stolen from the eye of an idol in India, and that everyone who owned it suffered. King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette beheaded. Jacques Collet, suicide. Princess de Lamballe, torn to pieces by a mob. The wealthy Evelyn Walsh McLean, her son died in a car crash. Her daughter overdosed. Her husband went insane. Science dismisses these as tragedies, bad luck. But science has also found something peculiar about the stone itself. The Hope Diamond is blue because of traces of boron atoms. But when you shine an ultraviolet light on it and then turn the light off, the diamond does not go dark. It glows. It burns with a fierce, blood-red phosphorescence for several minutes. This brings us to the zero-point hypothesis. Crystals are not inert rocks. They are oscillators. They store, amplify, and transmit energy. We use quartz to run our clocks and our computers. Is it possible that this specific atomic structure acts as a battery for a different kind of energy? If consciousness is a field, and if emotion is energy, could a stone with this unique blood-red resonance act as a storage device for trauma? Could it be amplifying the chaotic lives of its owners, driving them toward destruction? Perhaps the curse is just physics that we do not yet understand. Sometimes the curse requires no chemistry and no crystals. It only requires a suggestion. This is the Busby Stoop Chair. In 1702, a drunkard and murderer named Thomas Busby was hanged. His final request was to have a drink at his favorite pub. As he stood up to go to the gallows, he cursed the chair he was sitting on. May sudden death come to anyone who dares sit in my chair. It sounds like a bar tale until the bodies started piling up. In the Second World War, airmen from a nearby base would sit in it on a dare. None of them returned from their missions. In 1967, 2 Royal Air Force pilots sat in it. They crashed their truck into a tree just hours later. A mason sat in it and fell through a roof the same afternoon. The death toll reached such a point that the museum owner finally hung the chair on the wall, 5 feet off the ground, to stop people from committing suicide by furniture. Is the chair magical, or is this the ultimate example of the nocebo effect? The mind is powerful. If you truly deeply believe you are cursed, will your subconscious force you to make a fatal error? Will you drive a little faster, step a little less carefully? The chair proves that the most dangerous cursed object might be your own belief. Our final file is the most chilling, because the victims are the scientists themselves. In 1991, hikers in the Alps found a body. It was not a modern climber. It was a man from 5,300 years ago, Otzi. It was the greatest archaeological find of the century. And then the finders began to die. Rainer Henn, the forensic pathologist who picked up Otzi with his bare hands, dead in a car crash a year later. Kurt Fritz, the guide who led Henn to the body, dead in an avalanche. Helmut Simon, the hiker who found the body, found dead after falling off a cliff in a freak blizzard. Dieter Warnecke, the head of the rescue team who looked for Simon, dead of a heart attack an hour after Simon's funeral. 7 people, all directly linked to the discovery, all dead within a few years. The official story calls this coincidence, but the zero-point law asks a biological question. Otzi was preserved in ice for 5,000 years. What else was preserved with him? Bacteria, viruses, fungal spores from a lost age. We know that ancient pathogens can survive in permafrost. Was the curse of Otzi actually a slow-acting, unrecognized biological agent? Or is it a pattern of probability so unlikely that it forces us to question the nature of fate itself? War, poison, energy, psychology, biology. 5 artifacts, 5 curses. Science tries to explain them away. It tries to sanitize them with logic, but the bodies remain. These artifacts serve as a reminder that the past is not dead, it is sleeping, and sometimes when you disturb its sleep, it wakes up, hungry. The question is not whether you believe in curses. The question is, if you were in that museum and the ropes were down and the guards were gone, would you sit in the chair? Would you touch the diamond? Let us know in the comments below. And if you believe that some secrets are meant to stay buried, subscribe to 0 Point Law. We dig, so you do not have to.